Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to Dungeons&Discourse, a D&D discussion podcast, where we talk about all things related to running the game and playing the game, and, well, really anything in between as well. I am Carlo, and today I am joined by...
Walter.
Yes, the Core 2. And today's episode will be all about actions in combat. Not just the traditional ones, like attacking or dashing, but also ones you might not have heard of. Optional actions, for instance. So, this was actually your idea, Walter. So I'm curious how you would like to start this conversation.
Yeah, well, the thing that I and my players new to DM, new to basically Dungeons and Dragons, were trouble having, was finding out what the options in combat were, next to obviously attacking, using the class resources, and moving.
So we're still kind of following the narrative of, we're helping new players along.
Sure.
Yeah, we're just checking. Yeah, cool.
But there are a lot of options which you can use if you don't know might actually hurt your effectiveness, like dash. I started off not knowing what it was, and actually one of my players pointed out to me that it was a thing. So I had this NPC running away from the party, and it was like moving 30 feet on its turn and doing nothing else. And they were like, "Oh, let's chase him. We dash." And I was like, "Wait."
What's that? You can dash in this game, in which you can apparently do anything you want. You can dash in it? Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so that's a rule. I think that's a very basic thing we should cover.
Yeah, that's fair. I did start the intro saying, maybe you could dash, but that's still something you might not know about.
I also want to quickly glance over the usability, effectiveness on low level and high level of all the optional combat actions. Or all of them, actually, not only the optional.
And, great.
So we can rate them a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're gonna do anything point system, but we're just gonna say.
I guess we're just gonna go.
This one is really good, and I often use it. That makes it a very good.
So we're just gonna go one by one, kind of have them pass along, and at the end of the day, we'll have mentioned all of them and given our opinion, I guess.
Yeah. Oh,
cool.
I have the books open, so I can easily go through them one at a time. And let's just start.
Yeah, for sure. What's the first one?
I'm actually starting with the ones from the PlayerHandBook, the official ones.
Makes sense.
Which should be in every game the same. The first one here is the attack action.
Whoa, what's that, Walter?
Well, when you're a fighter, and you have a sword, you can use this sword.
But you can attack people in Dungeons and Dragons, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
If you get really good at it, you can do it several times.
And what are you going to tell me next? That I can use spells as well?
That's the next one,
yeah, indeed.
But, maybe take a step back for a second.
Yeah, we should discuss it formally, yeah.
I actually jumped into starting actions, but when it's a player's turn in their initiative, they have 3 resources.
Yeah,
they have their
true.
Movement speed, they have a bonus action and an action.
Yeah, and a free action, technically. They can interact with an object.
Free actions, I don't think those are... limited by 1.
I think it is, actually. So you can't switch all of your weapons at the same time. So if you want to equip a shield, that would be a single free action. If you wanted to equip a shield and then also grab a bow, that would be 2 free actions. And then you can use an action to interact with another object, but then you're wasting your action, you can't attack. So even then there's a slight economy you have to be aware of.
Well, and there's one outside of a player's turn, which can only be triggered by certain specifics, called a reaction. A good example for this is when you are wielding a melee weapon and
Mhm.
someone leaves your effective combat range, you can, well, basically make a free attack on them.
Yes, you can whack him with a stick or whatever.
Or if an enemy casts a spell and you know the spell counterspell, you can cast counterspell as a reaction.
Yes, exactly.
But then again, you only get one of those until your next turn starts again.
Yep. So there's also specific spells that you kind of have to save your reaction for instance.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think there's even class features at this point.
If like 5 people walk past you, you can't attack all of them.
Yeah, so you only have one.
Choice.
Yeah, exactly. So it's usually a good idea not to waste it immediately. Although, generally, that's more the case for high levels, I guess. Lower levels, it's most strategically sound to just make your attack when you can make one using a reaction.
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
But going back at it, the attack action.
Yes.
Most commonly, referred probably a melee weapon attack. But it's not exclusively.
Also count, I guess.
Bows, quarterstaffs. I don't know. I guess throwing a rock might be an attack action as well.
Well, I guess it depends. Yeah, if I guess it will also be an attack. It's like an improvised weapon, technically.
Yeah.
And there's also that like druid spell that allows you to throw magic rocks. That would then, for instance, cast a spell casting.
But then it requires magical incantation and stuff, so that would make it a spell.
But it would still be an action, of course.
Yeah. But an attack action indeed costs you on your turn your action. But it can also be used, like we said before, opportunity of attack. Which I want to quickly insert this here as well. Because we already glanced over it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Opportunity of attack when someone leaves your effective combat range. With I believe it's a halberd. I think that has reach.
I'm not too sure.
I'm pretty sure there's a weapon called a halberd.
I'm not sure if it's a halberd, but it might be something similar.
Yeah, but you actually get a melee reach of 10 feet.
Oh, it's a lance, actually. I think it's lances.
Lance might be too. I think
but those are
might be.
usually if you use mounts, so they're a bit weird.
Not exclusively.
But it also works for monsters, I guess. So if you have I don't know, some kraken or whatever that has like a 15 feet, I don't know the exact numbers, but let's say it's 15 feet, ranged tentacle attack, then that monster's opportunity attack would also be 15 feet.
Yeah. But
it can hinder as well, because then if someone moves 5 feet away from you, you can't make that same opportunity attack.
But
I feel like
that
right now
a reaction outside of your turn.
Yeah, but that's the reaction.
Yeah, opportunity of attack.
Yeah. But I feel that's also kind of stepping away from the idea of actions in combat. Because now we're already trying to discuss the entire setup of a combat turn. I feel like if we go into too many specifics, we'll be here all week at this point.
The attack action. How we are gonna rate this. Usability, effectiveness.
I think it's a 10, right? Doing damage is one of the best things you can do in D&D.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, except for talking things out nicely with your foes.
But
because it's all about friendliness and kinship.
If combat already is initiated,
then you should try to resolve your issues peacefully and not immediately hit someone, even if they are being mean to you.
That is certainly...
No, in all seriousness.
That is certainly a way to resolve things, but most likely the things are just gonna spiral out of control and you are gonna be left with just combat.
Yeah,
and your attack action...
Self-defense is a thing, so you should be able to hit someone,
Going back at it, different classes like Fighter, Paladin, Barbarian get to make, on later levels, more attacks with one attack action.
I suppose it's better for them.
Yeah.
But generally, you're gonna use your attack option in combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, except if you're like a wizard that has a lot of spell slots left or something.
Yeah.
So everyone runs into it. It's good. It's great, I'd say. It's one of the best sections.
Yes,
of course,
definitely.
That's the way it was designed.
The opportunity of attack. How we are gonna rate this?
I think it's
usability. It's a bit weird.
I think it's weird to rate something like the opportunity attack because it's really good. Because if you don't have any other reaction, it's great to have.
It doesn't actually skills with the attack action. So if you are, level 15 fighter, and someone allows you to make an opportunity of attack, you can still make only one strike with your sword.
Yeah, but I
So-
think that if you don't have any reactions, the only thing you could do is an opportunity attack with your reaction. So by virtue, it's one of the best reactions. It's the only one we have.
Yeah, of course. For a lot of classes, that's gonna be the only really thing they can do with their reaction. But the fact that it doesn't scale with the class ability of making several attacks in one attack action makes it also kind of, well, less useful in higher levels.
No, that's true. Yeah, I think that's also something we mentioned a little bit before. That, generally, if you're a higher level, you have better ways to utilize your reaction. So you're
Yes.
not going to want to make the opportunity.
Casting a spell.
Pretty
I
good
think
if you're a wizard.
We can just glance over this because I don't want to go into deep whirlpool of.
Yeah, we just spent
amount
10
of
minutes
spells.
on the attack action, Walter. So
Yeah,
are
alright.
you sure you don't want to get really into
No,
anything?
I don't want to discuss spells right now. That's
Fair.
gonna be entirely another series of episodes.
Great. We're gonna
Not
alienate
just
half of our fan base by skipping spellcasters entirely. Good job, man. I'm totally joking.
Yeah.
Don't get mad.
Um,
Oh, that makes me sound like an asshole. Oh my God.
Casting a spell, it's actually different because every spell can have a different casting time. One can use your reaction, like counterspell. But like fireball, that's a normal action.
Yep.
But Misty Steps, second level teleportation spell.
Well, you can use 2 spells on your same turn. Only
That's
cantrip
true.
and a spell.
But that uses a bonus action, for
Oh,
instance.
so you
I
can
was
use
just
a cantrip
using-
and Misty Step. Yeah, I see.
But it's a really good point that you start this, because you can't spend more than one spell slot, or I don't know the rule exactly. I think you can't just.
I think it's something like that. I'm not sure how it's phrased either.
I'm pretty sure it was you can't cast a spell using spell slots with an action and a bonus action at the same turn.
Well,
That's
spell
what the
always
rule
uses a
defines.
spell slot, right? Or other spells that don't use spell slots. Well, maybe if you're using a spell scroll, but then it's technically not a spell. It's using an object, let's say.
Yeah, so you could use, let's say, 2 spells a turn if you use a spell scroll.
No, definitely not. Because
No?
it costs an action to use an object like a spell scroll.
What if we combine it with a bonus action spell cast, Misty Steps?
That's... I'm not sure. If I had to take a guess, I'd say that's okay. But I would have to look it up. I'm not sure.
Anyway, casting a spell. Usability. Very high.
Yeah, it's
Spells
great.
are most definitely incredibly useful.
Yeah, like half the
Effectiveness-
classes on the game kind of
Yeah.
relies or rely on spells that deal damage. So it's the same with
And
like the attack action. It's just a
effectiveness-
general thing.
Effectiveness, low level and high level, we can both say. It's kind of relative because every spell has different uses, but
No, but even
It's-
like low level spells kind of scale up as you increase in level. So maybe
Yeah.
their effects won't be as good if you want to use them creatively, but still a fireball is gonna even deal more damage high level than it did low level. So even then there's some scaling in spells.
so it's,
They're good.
I'm not gonna say 9.5
Yeah,
to your attack action being a 10.
sure, I guess. I'm not sure how accurately we're gonna want to phrase these ratings
Yeah,
anyways, right?
Let's just drop the numbers.
Yeah,
That brings us to the next one. Dash.
cool.
Dashing.
If you want to run fast, then you dash.
It basically says you consume your action in your turn,
Yes.
and you get double your movement speed.
Yes, correct. So you run twice as fast.
Yeah, or
which
fly,
means
or swim twice
yeah,
as fast.
it's whichever. But something that's actually important about that dash action is that it's applied after any movement bonuses you already have. So if you have a special feat or bonus that allows you to move 5 feet extra, then your movement speed would, for instance, become 35 instead of 30. But
Like-
because it's doubled, it then becomes 70 instead of what would have been 60.
Like the unarmored movement from a monk.
Yeah, for instance.
So, I believe level 3 they get 5 feet of extra movement speed.
Yeah, so you can double it again. So then you total out
Yeah.
to 70.
So
And-
if you take a dash action, you are getting
More
10
value out of it.
Yeah.
Well, technically it's still doubled, but yeah. You get slightly more value. And even if
that's
you
interesting. I
already
didn't
have
know
something that multiplies your movement speed. So say you're at the Boxy, I think, have this feature, which is a specific race. They already can double their movement speed, I think once per long rest.
that. Oh,
So they go from 30 feet to 60 feet, but then if they dash, they can double it again, which means they can go 120 feet in one turn, which is pretty insane.
that is incredible far.
Yeah, that makes you wonder
Yeah.
why that race is designed that way. But it's also kind of cool though to have
Yeah.
that unique thing, because probably in high levels it's still going to be kind of useful, and that's nice
Yeah.
because most race features don't really scale that well. I'd
So-
say.
Dash. I don't know the exact name of the ability, but rogues are actually able to use dash as a bonus action.
I believe some other things as well.
Yeah, that makes it even more valuable. So
Why?
you can still attack and move around even more.
Yeah, but that's something they get to do innately. It doesn't really relate to how good the dash action is, right?
No, but I thought it was worth mentioning.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah. If you're a monk, you get to do even more cool things in between your attacks. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very true.
So, dash action. I'm gonna say
It's great.
it's-
Use it all the time, man.
it's great, but it's not as great as an attack action. So I would say it's
This is the problem I have
It's
with
good,
like
not
ranking
great.
them. It's all situational. Because if you have like 2 HP, the dash action is really great. Well, technically, you would want to do a disengage. I'm hoping that
Disengage.
one's next on the list. So we
yeah.
can
That's
kind of-
actually that's the next one on the list.
Oh, I made a perfect bridge.
But looking back on dash,
Oh, okay, we're going back to
usability low level, it's gonna be really good because it's doubling your movement speed, and it scales really well because high level it's gonna be even better because you also get to double your bonuses.
Yes.
Yes. So disengage action.
Yeah, if someone's attacking you and you don't like that, or actually if someone wants to attack you, you don't like that, you can disengage and get out of your opportunity attack range without being opportunity attacked.
Yes.
I'd say it's situational.
Might be worth to mention that it does cost you a full action.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you only counter someone's reaction with it. So if you have 2 HP and you want to move away from a foe, it's always better to take a disengage action. Because if they are gonna, roll and hit their opportunity attack, then that means you're gonna get downed.
But if you're fighting something like a goblin and you still have 10 health, but you still want to run away, you probably might be considering not taking the disengage action and just taking dash action instead.
Yeah.
And just tanking that attack from the goblin, if it might hit or not.
Yeah, it's almost a way to counter opportunity attacks, really.
Yeah.
Or technically, it's a way of opportunity attacks to counter people attacking them and then still walking away without consequences. Because now they can't attack because they have to use a disengage action.
But the rogue is still gonna do that because it also can disengage with a bonus action.
Yeah, rogues don't have to play by the rules because they're rogues.
I'm pretty sure monks also can do it, but they have to spend key on it.
That might be correct, I'm not sure.
Did I say rogues? I meant monks.
You
Monks
said
can
monks.
also do it.
Yeah, you said
But
monks.
they have
But
to
I'm,
spend.
I'm not too sure about key points. I've never played a monk yet. Before people get mad at me.
But yeah, disengage action. The usability is
It's there, but it's more situational, I'd say.
it's gonna be only used in bad situations, situations that are bad for the player, or a wizard that is just happens to find himself like surrounded, someone who doesn't want to frontlining.
Yep.
So usability, the scalability, does it scale to higher levels better?
Well, technically, because if you're being attacked by a Tarask, you're gonna block more damage by not taking an opportunity attack.
Yes.
But overall, you're also gonna have more health, so it's tricky. I guess not. I also don't think it's that interesting.
I don't think it scales really well, because there's also higher level, several abilities for spellcasting classes to just teleport out, and other classes.
Yeah, I guess it does lose its utility a bit as well. Yeah, that's fair.
So it falls off a bit late, but it's still very useful early and in bad situations.
Yeah, it's alright. What's next on our magic list?
The next will be the dodge action.
Dodge! Interesting, yes.
Yeah.
Rogues, once again, can do that one for free, I believe. Or as a bonus action.
Monks as well, because
yes,
I think rogues and monks
monks
are really doing the same things, but in really different ways.
Yeah, monks have to pay for it, whilst rogues just get it innately.
That as well. But dodge action. You take normal action, a full action.
Yes.
And until your next turn, everyone attacking you has disadvantage.
Yeah, so once again, it's a defensive action, just like the disengage. But it is a very different use. So I'd say disengage you use if you want to run away, whilst the dodge action you use if you are anticipating an attack, but don't want to actively walk away from your attacker.
You also, with a dodge action, get advantage on dexterity saving throws for that time.
So if there's a dragon that wants to use its flame breath, you can also still get utility out of that as well.
I think this is a very good spell for a front or spell. Action. I think this is a very good action for a frontliner.
I'm a little sick. Oh my god. I should be fine. I hope listeners enjoyed that, especially. Sounded like a little bit of ear rape to me, but we'll see how it sounds on the recording.
But the dodge action is for the frontliners who are doing their job a bit too well and just maybe got themselves overwhelmed.
Yeah, if you're being ganged up on by multiple opponents, the dodge action is really good because all of their attacks are affected by the dodge action.
Mm-hmm. Also allows, just one. If you have a party like that, the wizard to chuck a fireball at you.
Ooh, that's interesting, actually.
You can take that with advantage on your saving throw, because escaping fireball is a dexterity saving throw.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So, even though you are maybe fireballing in a teammate, you might get him out of a sticky situation if you took the disengage action.
Yeah, although
I am not encouraging to do this.
We're not endorsing this.
No.
just for the sake of, preserving D&D campaigns, we don't think you should chuck fireballs at your friends.
No, definitely not.
But if the opportunity arises itself and they can take a dodge action, then you might consider it.
Especially monks, not rogues, or maybe rogues do also get this. They only take half damage when they fail dexterity saving throw, and no damage if they succeed.
I think that's later levels, but I think that's correct. Yes. I think what we're learning here is that we should do our first class episode on rogues, because they keep getting mentioned and they have a lot of interesting abilities apparently.
But rogue is a very nice one, but I also like monk very much.
Well, we can do monks as well.
So versatile.
Yes. Well, we should do them all eventually.
Most definitely, yeah.
Either way, moving on. What's next on our list?
Let's quickly rate the dodge action.
Oh, right, yes.
Scalability. Usability, it's, again, like the disengage action, you're gonna use it in bad situations. Or to, I guess, to prolong a fight until you get support.
Yes.
But scalability, does it scale well? I think it does.
I think, well, it's the same as a disengage, where you get stronger enemies, so dodging in that way becomes more important.
But a disadvantage is still very huge.
What do you mean
It can be the difference between a 5 or a 15.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's slightly more useful, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point, yeah.
And it's, again, until your next turn.
Yes.
All attacks.
Yeah.
So,
although I'd also worry that maybe enemies at later levels have ways to get around that. Because I do end up also utilizing spells a lot more.
you still have the...
only if they're dexterity saving throw spells.
Dexterity, yes.
Yeah.
But sadly, no constitution or strength, wisdom.
It's like a minor insurance for certain spells. It's definitely better than disengage.
Yeah. The help action.
That's a fun one. Yeah.
You can use an help action to aid another creature in the completion of a task.
Yeah, even the enemies. Just planting bad ideas into our listeners' minds again. Help your enemies attack your allies. Try it. It's legal.
I did not know you could do that. I didn't think I wanted to know. Anyway.
Oh, no, definitely not. I'm poisoning people's minds again.
You can target a creature up to 5 feet away from you with an help action. And that gives them advantage on their next
attack.
Action.
Action? Is it action or? Oh, it's action, yeah, because it's just in general. Because you can also use it on ability checks. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah. I think this is actually an action that's most often utilized outside of combat. This is a great tip. I think I actually indirectly learned this from you. If you're at any point going to make any skill check and the DM isn't prompting you to do it, just ask the person sitting next to you to give you advantage on it. By just having them say, I'm going to give you the help action.
It's a bit meta game. But
it definitely is. But it also it makes sense, I'd say. If I'm going to go search a room for clues and somebody else is going to help searching, then I'm not going to roll ones right. I'm going to take that advantage. Because in reality, if someone's helping you search a room, things would also go a lot quicker.
Yeah. So, help action. You aid a friend in an ability check or a...
Yeah, I think it's great.
Attack.
It's a great action. It also stimulates kind of working together as a team in combat. You often see that in combat people are kind of running off, doing their own thing. And if you don't have anything to do, you're just going to help one of your allies, then that's great. It kind of, helps enforce teamwork and in tricky combat scenarios. I love it. Help action is great. I never use it, by the way, but I love the idea of the help action.
I actually heard of a character that was actually just a pacifist. He refused to wield a weapon, so he carried around his 2 shields.
Oh, God,
and the only thing in combat what he would do is cast a help action.
So he doesn't like killing people.
Help action,
but he just helps people kill people, and then it's okay. Yeah. No, I like the idea of the help action. It's great. I love it.
It does need to be said that if you take or the helped creature takes an attack, only the first attack is made with advantage.
Yeah, it's only for one, and you have to choose who you're helping. So if you're using the help action to help person A and they don't make an attack, then the effect doesn't transfer to person B if they're attacking the same creature.
No.
So you really have to coordinate using the help action well.
Yeah. But then usability, I think
it rarely comes up. But
the ability checks side, I think it's definitely
better. That's really good.
Yeah.
But that's outside of combat. In combat, it rarely comes up. Outside of combat, it comes up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even, because scalability is next on the list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think scalability-wise, it's really interesting if you have different levels within your party. If you're a level 2 player and you have a level 18 party member, And giving them advantage on their attacks might actually be more beneficial than just taking your own attack. So technically, it scales really well, but in a really convoluted and complicated way that'll never actually happen.
Alright.
Unless you have like a familiar or something that's a low level and you're like level 20 already. Then they can be really good.
That can be...
You could even hire an NPC technically to just give you the help action in combat, provided they don't get killed themselves.
So let's say it's decent.
I'd say it's decent.
The scalability is not that great, but if you got, like you said, a summon or an NPC that is lower,
It
or
scales
an
in an
NPC
interesting
that
way.
is higher in your party, the help action is going to be more valuable.
Yeah, for sure.
Hide action.
How many more of these do we have to go through, Walter?
Let's see. We have 4 more in this book.
Oh god. Here we go again. It's more coughing. Yeah, because we're over 30 minutes right now, and I think we've discussed 6 so far.
Oh man, we are gonna make part 2 of this.
Oh, I really hope we're not. Yeah.
Well, we discussed the most important one.
Well, did we? Which ones are left?
The ready action, search, use of an object. Let's see.
I think use of an object we technically discussed.
2 weapon fighting.
Yeah, but those are all like
Grappling and
optionals or side rules that only come up in very specific scenarios.
And we have from the Xanaxar's Guide to Everything.
Oh, dear God.
Identifying a spell.
I actually don't know about that one. I think, for the sake of, still being able to do our second segment,
Alright.
we should maybe just discuss the ready action, because it's, I think, the most interesting and convoluted one. And then we can move on.
I think
how does that sound?
Use of an object, search, grappling.
Search is an optional one, right?
Let me actually double check.
Oh god, here we go.
Nope.
What is search?
It's when you take a search action, you devote your attention to finding something. Depending on the nature of your search, the DM might
oh my god! I thought it was something
wisdom
like
perception check or an intelligence investigation check.
I thought you said search as an action search. I got really confused. No, searching for an option. Yeah. Moving on. Please tell us more about this ready action, Walter.
Yes.
I can also quickly go through it so that we read the entire text.
It's
that's
quite
better.
a lot of text. I'll quickly read through it.
Oh boy.
Not literally, but the gist of it.
Alright.
Ready action. On your turn, you define a specific trigger.
Yes.
And if that thing happens, then you get a choice. Then you can make...
but you have to say what you're gonna do ahead of time.
Yeah. You're gonna say it ahead of time. But when this prerequisite triggers, you are given the choice to do the action you described or not do the action.
And essentially waste your action.
A nice example might be, you are waiting for a goblin to approach.
And there's a banana peel.
You're having
and if they step on it...
You're having a hand on the trap. Or a lever over the trap door.
Yes.
That's literally
example
here.
You didn't want to run with my banana peel
I
improvisation.
Don't know how... Oh, I see. Yeah, alright. We're going with that, actually.
Yeah, you got it.
So...
Cool. Don't worry, listeners, he's getting there.
There's a goblin coming for you, but there's a banana peel in the way. You can say, alright, I have this bow.
Wait, no.
I can make an attack action, or I can wait until the goblin trips over the banana peel, and then make an attack action.
It doesn't work with a bow, because you get disadvantage if they're prone. So you literally should have just set a sword.
I have this really, really long lance.
Yes. I think, yes. That is what I was going for. You got it. Good job.
Yeah, alright. I know.
Yeah, I just didn't want to blatantly steal all of the examples from the book. So I figured I'd throw you a curveball.
Yeah.
And you handled it well. I'm very proud of you.
Wow. I'm proud.
That sounded a little bit degrading. I'm sorry. So, I don't know about you, but I think it's time to move on to our second segment. One that I'm very excited about.
You can take a ready action with a spell.
Yeah, I forgot to mention it. Yeah, that's very important. Yeah.
But if you take a ready action with a spell, for as long as you do not cast that spell,
concentration.
It costs concentration.
Yeah.
So anything you do that you already have concentration, even though you're holding a fireball, which normally wouldn't use concentration, that concentration is gonna break when you're holding this fireball.
Yeah, correct.
But that's also a way if you can lose a spell. If you're holding this fireball and you get hit by an arrow, fail con save, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gonna be gone.
I think it's a weird rule.
Also the spell slots which you use to hold that spell with, or cast it actually, but it didn't really cast, it's still gonna be gone.
Yeah, I think that's a weird rule. I get the idea behind that, because you're like already like charging up the spell and you're waiting for the right moment to release it, so technically you've already cast it, but not really. Yeah. It feels more like a shenanigans rule for it to make sense than like mechanically. Like timing a spell just feels like something you should be able to do regardless. Maybe it's to disincentivize people from like constantly taking ready actions in combat as spellcasters. Yeah. But I feel like it's a rule that kind of encourages you to not use it if you're a spellcaster who uses concentration spells, which is what I don't like about that part. But aside from that, the ready action is great.
Yeah. If you're a spellcaster or not, if you're a spellcaster in a decent situation, you can probably take a risk and use a ready action with the spell. But also, if it doesn't trigger your prerequisite demands, like the goblin doesn't trip over the banana peel. In that example, we used a spear, but let's say I was holding a fireball again.
Yeah.
And the goblin still approaches, but it doesn't fall over its banana peel. It made its deck save.
Mm-hmm.
I am still holding this fireball, even though the goblin is past the banana peel.
Yeah.
Still waiting, and then when it is my turn again, the spell is gonna dissipate. It's gone.
But then you still waste your spell slot.
Yeah, you still waste your spell slots, even though your prerequisite didn't trigger.
Yeah, I feel like there's like mechanically some shenanigans I don't like about that.
So let's quickly judge it so we can get on to our next section.
Yes.
Usability. I think
it's interesting, but it complicates things.
It isn't used weird. A lot. And I don't know if it's because
it's just convoluted, really. Like, nobody wants to go, oh, I'm gonna ready an action, and now we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. Because if 5 people are gonna do that in combat, it's just gonna become a mess and a horror show for your DM to run.
I think just straight up taking an action is still always gonna be better than getting this small.
It's not always gonna be better.
No, but a lot of times it's gonna be better than taking this small chance and readying action and losing it.
Yeah, well, this is actually why we should have used the example from the book, because there they say if someone's standing over a trapdoor and you're gonna flip a lever, that's of course because you then have the potential to deal more damage. Yeah. Someone's standing over a pit of spikes, and you can cast them to go in there by using a reaction. Then it actually has added value that you're doing something later, and it does make sense. So for attacks and spells, it's maybe not too good. But if you want to do something very specific, the reaction is great. So in that way, it's a very unique thing. So if you have a specific plan that you want to carry out, then it's really good, but it requires you to use some of your creativity. Which is what I like.
That's very situational, but it's still decent.
Yeah, I think almost every action is decent, except for like the search action, because that's
alright. Effectiveness low, ranking.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think it scales well because you are literally just delaying your action. So the fighter is still, when it triggers, gonna have his 4 attacks, and when it triggers, the
I guess it's the same as
still
attack.
Have this level 6 fireball.
Yeah, so I guess it's technically worse for spellcasters because they're shenanigans, and it's the same for like fighter classes. That makes sense. Are you satisfied? Can we move on to
Yeah.
our next segment?
I am satisfied.
Great. I've been waiting 40 minutes to reveal what my monster of the week
Yeah,
is.
I underestimated how deep we went into all of these feats.
I definitely did as well. I was not expecting us to spend 10 minutes on the attack action.
I am not
that's for
disappointed.
sure. No, I think there was a lot of meaningful things we said. Also some less meaningful things, but that's gonna happen.
I think I still wanna like shoving and grappling. I think that we should cover this another time.
Yeah, probably. Maybe we
But
could do
that's
like.
also an important.
Oh, you know what we should do? We should do like maybe an episode on like tavern brawling or something, and then those are really good actions for that. So we can do like a part where we discuss the actions, and maybe a part where we discuss setting up a scene or whatever.
We can use like unarmed
strikes and stuff.
Unarmed strikes and improvised weapons. We can do.
I'm just spitballing, but that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm up for that.
Yes.
Maybe next episode.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see if the audience likes it, huh? Getting some interaction.
The audience will have to see it in the next 2 weeks.
Yes. That'll be good.
But Monster of the Week?
Yes, I'm excited.
I am really curious. You were excited for this one.
I'm actually... Okay, so before I say what it is, I want you to tell me if you can guess what this creature is based on its name. Because it has a name that's very common in fantasy.
Oh no.
But
it
doesn't resemble that at all. So the creature...
Be a red herring?
I'd say it's a red herring, yes. The creature that I'm presenting today is a Gorgon. A Gorgon.
A Gorgon?
Yes. What do you think this creature is? Or you might actually know what it is.
Well, my mind immediately goes to something fiendish in nature.
Yes.
Obviously, the demo Gorgon comes to mind.
Yes, of course.
But wasn't this Gorgon this small, slimy ball of flesh?
No. So, I believe Gorgon is in mythology what Medusa is.
Really?
Right? Or it's something similar. So...
Wait, Gorgon?
A Gorgon.
Isn't that a floating head?
Oh, that might be it. Like a floating Medusa head.
Yeah.
But that's not what it is in D&D at all.
Oh.
Which is why it's a red herring. So, what it actually is a steel bull that...
No.
Yeah, no, actually. I'll get the monster manual, you can look at it.
Careful, the microphone.
Yeah, here you go. I didn't knock it over. It's a giant steel bull that excretes petrifying gas from its nose.
Petrifying gas.
I know, it's crazy.
Nah, they at least kept that, but really an iron bull.
You can see the picture, right?
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing to stumble upon, too.
It's large.
I know, it's crazy. So, this is actually how I encountered it. I was scrolling through the monster manual, a thing I sometimes like to do if I'm bored. And I think, at least I thought I knew every single creature in there. And then I just opened the page, I saw an iron golem, and right next to it I saw, what the fuck is this thing? I've never seen this. Is this that's not a Gorgon. And then I started reading about it. There's a very short subtext. But it's just such a weird creature, like, to stumble upon, so I wanted to present it.
It actually has the ability called petrifying breath.
Yeah, it petrifies people with its breath. That's what it does.
That immediately makes it think like cone of attack of a dragon. It is like a 30-foot cone attack.
But it's way scarier, because it can petrify people, and that means they're, like, technically permanently dead. Except for there's, like, ways to bypass it.
Greater Restoration, that is a hard spell to get.
Yeah, usually, or the way I like to use petrification in my games, I've never actually used it, but this is how I think I would use it, is to treat the petrification status effect as sort of like this part of a lore that you have to solve. So maybe a person X or Y knows a cure for it. Now you gotta go by them, maybe help them out, and they'll give you some healing salve or whatever. There's actually a few entries on the D&D wiki, I think, or maybe even in the books, that, for instance, cockatrice feathers, which is a cockatrice is a different creature that can petrify, can actually be used to be turned
chicken
into
with the petrifying claws. Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, but their feathers can be used to make a salve that can cure petrification. So similarly, I would treat it like that, where I'd say, oh, if you go pick this flower or whatever, you can cure the petrified person.
If you take the Gorgon's, I don't know, horns?
Well, actually, there are some cool things you can do with when you dissect Gorgon.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so essentially, they have a gas bladder that excretes this gas.
Fair enough. Wait, are they actually creatures?
Well, it's weird, because it's never stated outright. But I think the way they work is that there's actual flesh underneath all that metal.
It's classed as a monstrosity.
Yes.
But its skin, it's like...
They're iron scales.
It's plates.
Yeah, they're iron plates. But, like, those plates actually have to be oiled up. So they create this oil by moving around. And if they don't do that, if they just stand still for like a couple of days, which, I don't think any creature does that, maybe like a sloth or whatever, but they don't produce this oil because they're not moving around, and their scales start to rust. Which to me kind of says that they have like fleshy, not metal underneath all that metal, so just flesh. Because they also are described as having like a gas bladder, for instance. So they're weird. I don't know.
Do they eat?
Yes, they do. You know what their favorite food is? You'll never guess this.
Oh no!
You'll never
Please
guess it.
don't say gnomes.
No. It's weird. It's just a weird thing for these guys to eat.
Is it grass?
It's fish. It's a cow. Why is its favorite meal fish?
Does it need to breathe, or can it just walk under the ocean?
I don't fucking know.
On the floor of the ocean.
Wait,
because if that makes sense if it was a fish then.
I actually read something really weird about this, that I don't remember exactly what it was, but there were like a specific subset of Gorgons. This was probably from a specific like 3E or maybe even older edition that had like a specific supplement that had Gorgons in it.
It's still fun to cover.
Sorry?
It's still fun to cover.
Yeah, well, I don't remember exactly what it is, because I didn't think it would come up.
Just explain it.
I think...
I want to hear it.
Well, I don't remember what it was exactly, but it had something to do with rivers and them potentially, like, drowning. Oh, I remember, actually. So, if they'd, like, touch water or be immersed in water, they would...
Are we talking about wyverns now?
No, Gorgons. Gorgons, yes.
Yeah. If they touch water?
Or if they are immersed in water, instead of drowning, they'll just turn to stone as a sort of rescue mechanism.
And so they'll be there for
I guess the rest of their lives.
2,000 years until the water levels drop.
Yeah, or until like a god just, snaps their fingers and makes them normal again. It was such a random fact too there. But that's why I say it's probably from a specific edition. I felt like I had 10 knowledge bits I missed whilst reading that.
That's still pretty fun.
It's weird. Like, they go to a fucking river, try to hunt for fish, fall in, and then just get turned to stone for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
So random.
There's just in the meantime, in these 2,000 years, there's an entire town built in around this river, and suddenly they just find this ox.
Yeah.
Inside of it, and they lift it out, and it turns back. And it starts a murder rampage.
The way it was written was even more
5.
weird.
It's
challenging 5, so it's pretty manageable if you're like a medium level creature or adventurer group.
That would be an incredible adventure.
But it was described even weirder, because the way it was described was that it's only a specific section of Gorgons that are blessed by a specific god in a specific river or glade. So it's really specific. That's why I feel like I don't have all the knowledge about that specific part. So I guess there's only some Gorgons, not all of them. I don't know. It's weird.
It sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, I think it's because it's such a crazy creature. I think it would be really cool to run. I had plans to run some Gorgons in one of my campaigns, but that campaign sadly ended, so I never got to it. Yeah. But now I get to present them here, so they still. They still get to have their spotlight, I'd say. Some other interesting things to mention, this is actually what I wanted to say earlier about dissecting them, is that they have this gas bladder that excretes this poisonous gas.
Yeah.
And if you cut up their flesh, it'll stay active for at least a couple hours. So you could probably like use it as a petrification bomb if you cut out the bladder and then save it. Which is really cool, like to me, that you could like make petrification bombs out of their bladders.
That is really scary.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to. I know, like, a big list of my player characters, which I don't want to give such an item.
Oh, no, me too. But the concept is cool. That, they even thought about that. How you would, like, use that as a mechanic. Which also goes back to the cockroaches thing, right? Like, the cockroaches is like a CR1 creature that bites people and they turn to stone. But
I think it's glass, actually.
it's glass, it might be that too. Pretty sure it's a bite, but we're not gonna have a fight over this. We'll see later. You know, its feathers can be used to cure people. So, and similarly, the Gorgon is also something that interacts with its petrification effect, which is that you can make bombs out of its, its gas bladder. So like how those petrification creatures have like this specific like passive effect if you kill them that interacts with that petrification. So with cockroaches you can cure it. With a Gorgon you can have like bombs. And I think if you kill a Medusa, you can cut off her head and use it to petrify people. Which I think is cool that they thought about how it would work biologically. Oh, and I see you looking up the cockroaches stat block, so let's see who was right.
You were right.
Of course I was.
Yes.
I knew that.
Damn it.
Are there any things we should discuss about the Gorgons before we try setting up maybe an encounter or whatever?
Do they have a natural habitat?
If I had to guess, plains, but I'm not sure. I guess close to rivers because they like fish. It also mentioned that they like deer and elk, which is also meat. So they're omnivores.
Woodlands?
Yeah, maybe. It's the way they actually eat. Is that they don't eat grass. Actually, I do know their diet. I'm reading through my notes.
I'm pretty sure they're carnivorous.
Yeah, do you want to guess
because
how they
everything you've just mentioned is either meat or fish.
Yeah, they are. Do you want to guess how they eat?
I am gonna say no. I'm just gonna let you tell me.
So step 1 is they petrify something.
Oh no, do they eat the stones?
No, it gets better. Step 2 is they beat the ever-living shit out of that stone creature. And then they just eat the powder. And that helps them...
powder!
Yes, they eat stone powder. And that helps them retain their beautiful metal skin. They're crazy.
It's good that this is a magic world, because I wouldn't be able to figure out the science behind this beast.
No, obviously not. That's why it's a monstrosity, right?
Yeah.
So if you ever find, as a player, if you ever find yourself wandering into a forest that's full of just random piles of stone rubble, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
Maybe climb a tree if it's already too late.
Exactly. Because some metal ox is just gonna run into you, breathe on you, beat you into the fucking stone mush and slurp you up.
It's gonna use its breath attack. Yeah, I am automatically still think of dragons, but this thing has a breath attack of 30 feet.
Yeah, it's also pretty wide.
Yeah,
they're gonna hit like half the party, and statistically, probably one of them is gonna fail their petrification save, and then it recharges if they roll a 6 on a d6. So
literally turn the party to dust.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
Yeah, because usually you think, oh, they're a stone statue now. I can just leave them behind and we'll go back later to fix them up. Nope, because it's gonna destroy them and eat their rubble and dust. So yeah, I don't know. It's fucking crazy.
I would say it's brutal, but it's stone. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the
imagining those things that he probably petrified once lived, I'm still gonna say it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is that he petrifies them and then eats them. So the harm's already been done, but he shouldn't have petrified them in the first place.
I believe with the...
But maybe we shouldn't discuss the morals of petrifying someone.
Yeah.
Especially if you're an ox. That just seems weird.
Yeah.
I have one more fun fact, and then I've said all I wanted to say. Actually, technically there are 2. Because you can use their actual plates in crafting as well.
Oh.
This was probably also from an older edition. But apparently Drow could make Gorgon plate mail, which would protect them from the sun. So if you're a DM out there, and one of your players wants to play a drow but doesn't want to have sunlight sensitivity, here's a solution. You're welcome.
That's amazing.
And then also, which goes back to the cockroaches thing, you can make scale mail out of their scales as well, or the metal casting or whatever. And this can be used to stop petrification. You can even use the oil they excrete and combine it with their scales to make ink to make scrolls of petrification.
Oh, wow.
They really thought about this, which I think is cool.
They just they just pick a monster from like Greek mythology. They say this is a Gorgon.
Yes.
Let's completely change it around, except one thing. Keep its petrifying thing and make everything about it as detailed as we can.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason I like that fact specifically, because it also adds so much to the lore of spell scrolls.
Yeah.
The idea that you can only make the ink to make a specific spell scroll out of a creature that actually uses that specific spell is super interesting.
I would say.
Sorry?
Ability,
what did you say?
I would say.
Yeah, ability. Yeah, true. So I think that's cool. And that even adds something to the idea of spell scrolls. They're not just, some magic wizard man enchanting them, because then they can just have magic scroll factories. No. This specific spell scroll required a hunter to go out and kill this horrifying thing.
Yeah.
So that, I think that adds a lot. It's a small detail that really helps,
there should be more like that.
Definitely. There is tons of that stuff on D&D, but every time you stumble upon it, it feels like a little nugget of gold.
Yeah.
Which is why I like that fact. I think that's... Oh god. We are close to an hour of recording right now.
Alright.
So, the question to you is, do you want to maybe discuss setting up an encounter with this creature, or do you just want to call it quits and maybe discuss a comment or two?
That's we thought of some encounters.
Yeah, that's true. We mentioned quite a bit already.
Not directly, but you can make an encounter with the information we've spoken about.
Definitely. I don't think it's a creature that's very interesting to set up an encounter, because in the end of the day, it's probably just gonna react like a beast and run at you and breathe on you, and then that's all it can do. Because it really only has 2 or 3 attacks, really. Option 1 is it breathes on you, and option 2 is it runs at you in a stampede, and then if it knocks you prone, it can trample you as well. Yeah. That's all it does.
So,
we actually got a comment from Ralph again.
Ooh.
Which allows me... Yes, thank you, Ralph. How are you?
It's good for the algorithm, thank you.
Yes.
Now, what's the comment?
So, essentially, he allowed me to talk about a really good story by placing this comment. And I think you already know it, but maybe it's interesting for the listeners. I'm not sure exactly how he phrased it, but it was in relation to our last episode, alignment. And he asked us about the morality of alignment in relation to a specific event that happened in one of my campaigns, which was a group of my party, so a small part of my actual adventuring party, splitting off on a group and going out to steal dead bodies from the morgue in an attempt to solve a dragon menace that was plaguing the town they were in. And then this prompted the discussion about alignment, which was whether doing something bad in the name of good is technically good or bad aligned. I think there's an interesting...
That's neutral.
Neutral, yeah. You just take good and bad, combine them, say it's neutral.
That's it. Because a good aligned character would probably hunt for deer to feed to the dragon. Yeah. And a bad aligned character would just probably skip down.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that. Well, I think you actually solved this moral quandary in like 2 seconds.
But...
Would you like to hear the actual story behind it, or should we discuss the morality? Because I think the story is more fun.
I think we just fixed it. I think it's
I think that's the solution. It's neutral.
I'm really chaotic sided as well, so I would say chaotic neutral.
It's definitely chaotic. Okay, I like that. Yeah, it's not good because even if you're good, you're not gonna steal the body.
Or unless your morals are really weird, I
Yeah.
don't see this being a lawful character being okay with this.
No, definitely not. I
They
think the lawful
might
character,
tolerate it, but
Yeah.
not. No.
the lawful character in the party tried to arrest them.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, let's just tell the story because I'm interested now.
So the idea behind this campaign was that there was a relatively strong devil that had been summoned. His name was Zuragilon. That's not too important. And
I'm making notes.
Sorry?
I'm making notes.
Oh yeah, pretty sure the campaign is dead. But if there's any chance to revive it, I would be interested in that. Oh god, people are gonna get really mad. At least the ones that are in the campaign and hear this. Either way. So, Zuragilon was kind of a menace. He took over a town. And the players were kind of... Because they indirectly were involved in his summoning, they kind of wanted to try to get rid of him. And their first step in doing that was to establish a base of operations. And they wanted to get to Sigil, which is the City of Doors, which has to do with planescape, warping through planes, which we're not going to get into, because I'm not going to stop talking for like 20 more minutes. So they wanted to get here, and they needed to go through a portal, which this lady in a library had, and she would only grant them access if they were able to negotiate a peace deal with a dragon that was terrorizing a town. The idea was that this dragon was eating some people, and that wasn't very good. And it had gotten closer to the town recently. But now that it was there, it would also mean that the devils couldn't just invade the town, because then they would have to deal with this dragon as well, and that would be too much for them. So because the dragon was now so close to the town, it was also a defense mechanism against the
like
devil
a necessary
uprising.
evil.
Yeah.
But maybe not
No, exactly. So
tolerable.
the players were
necessarily.
tasked with ensuring that the dragon could come in peace with the town, but they could still use it as defense. And I set them up in this town, and they had... It was really like a sandboxy thing, right? There's a problem. See how you solve it. The lawful player bought some goats to offer to the dragon, because it was a white dragon, and overall dragons would like to know that they are respected. So they should have brought some kind of offering. In this case, they decided to bring food. So the lawful good character figured he'd buy some goats to give to the dragon, and he could feed them. And then, of course, the people that wanted to have fun at the expense of their DM wanted to rob a morgue and steal bodies from the morgue. So they could give them to the dragon, so he'd be happy.
I see.
But yeah.
I see.
And the way they did this was by walking into a morgue, bribing the clerk at the counter.
Hold up, not even asking first. Like the proper authorities, like, hey, we're making this deal.
Oh yeah, no. They wanted to do it in secret. I believe. Yeah.
Just drag a bunch of bodies around town to a dragon. You know what? I'm not gonna.
Well,
go ahead.
If you're a DM,
they bribe.
You immediately realize that that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But if you're a player, you're too swept up by the fun to think about those kind of things. So I thought back to a specific episode, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, made this joke about the actual guy behind the counter being offered cash multiple times in the past to allow people to offer stuff with the dead bodies. So he would accept a bribe and go along with the players. And then, the players had these bodies. But then he had to ride them through the rest of the hospital. And of course, if they were going to do that, then people were going to see it. So they used, I think it was suggestion, to get this guy behind the counter to help them wheel the bodies out through the entire hospital with them. And he almost got away with it too, if it wasn't for that lawful good character messing things up for them, who got there just in time whilst they were exiting the hospital. At that point, they had already made some other mistakes, because the guy that they had cast suggestion on, I believe, passed a certain saving throw at some point, so he was starting to kind of clear up again. And there were some other people that were starting to get suspicious as well, because the way you usually, extract the bodies from a hospital isn't by parading them around throughout the entire hospital. Usually you just take the back door.
They didn't look for a backdoor.
I don't know the specifics of why they couldn't or didn't go through the back door, but I'm sure there was a good reason for it. Or maybe it was one of those things where they just said, okay, we're gonna get this thing out of the hospital, and they just said, cool, if you want to take the front door, I guess you can. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. But yeah, and then in the end, one of them got caught, had to go through a court, and then he skipped court, and then he eventually got through the portal, and well, once you're in a different plane, then, the law can't really get you.
Yeah.
Unless it's like planar law, but once again, I should really stop talking about planes.
How did it end up with the dragon? Did he get its coats and his human body?
No, so the bodies actually were retrieved, because one of them got caught and the other ran away. And at the end of the day, they brought the goats to the dragon. There was a lot more going on with the dragon. It was like 3 sessions of content before they had actually been able to negotiate the deal. Because I like doing social encounters that really build up, as you probably know. So yeah, at the end of the day, there was a lot of stuff that happened with the dragon. One of the players tried casting fear on it.
On the dragon?
Yeah, which was a really bad idea. And then the dragon forced that player to kill another player, which in hindsight wasn't that nice, because that player made a mistake and someone else had to pay for it.
That's quite a long story.
Yeah, but they created a cool roleplay moment.
Yeah, most definitely. But
and they eventually were able to negotiate a deal with the dragon.
Probably a lot of internal conflict there as well.
Yeah, I think it was one of my favorite D&D moments. The entire stealing bodies from a morgue is so out there and so crazy.
You should have mentioned this when we talked about last episode about it.
Yeah, that's why I appreciate Ralph for commenting, because I completely forgot to mention it, and it's such an integral story about alignment. Yeah. The moral side of things, you apparently solved in 2 seconds, but regardless, I think it's a funny story, so I wanted to tell it.
Because I got the compiled story.
Yeah, you already had it. That's fair. That's true. Yeah. Well, we are past an hour at this point. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think anything I would add would probably spark another discussion. So
that's how it goes.
Let's maybe just end it here.
Well, great. I guess we should thank people for listening and sticking with us throughout this entire hour.
Ralph, thank you for commenting. Please do again.
Yeah,
much
keep it
obliged.
Up. Definitely.
Much obliged. Much thanks.
Yes. That's it. And end of the episode.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Farewell.